One other thing we need to discuss really quickly about our standard deviations has to do with those two separate formulas that we saw on a previous slide. So remember that we looked at these formulas here. We have two separate formulas for standard deviation as well as two separate formulas for variance, depending upon if we're looking at a population or if we're looking at a sample. And because of that, StatCrunch handles these two ideas separately within their program. You'll notice here that I have two normal distributions. This is actually the same distribution for pulse rates, which is, I believe, in one of our data sets that you can look up. And I can treat these data sets as both a population, or I could treat that data set as a sample. And you'll notice up here that the standard deviation that's given for the pulse rate, just the pulse rate, is listed at 18.46, whereas the standard deviation for the adjusted pulse rate is a different value of 14.95. That's because of those formulas that we saw on the previous page. So when we are asked to find population standard deviation in StatCrunch, we need to understand where to go to find that. So I'm going to go back to, it's the same place as we find regular standard deviation. I'm going to go back to Summary Stats Columns, and I want you to notice that here, if I scroll almost to the bottom of my box, here in the center, this statistics box, there's an unadjusted variance as well as an unadjusted standard deviation. These are the two commands that you need to select when you are asked to find population, variance, and standard deviation. So I hope that that's clear, and make sure when you're working on your homework that you understand if you're being asked for sample standard deviation and variance versus population standard deviation and variance.